You know what? Gloria Maxwell walked into that country club feeling like she owned the place. Minutes later, she was humiliated right there in front of billionaires, and what her son, CEO Marcus Maxwell, did next? No one saw it coming. The valet barely had time to open her car door before Gloria stepped out of the sleek black Lincoln Navigator, clutching her leather purse tight like a shield. She didn't wear designer labels, but everything about her screamed quality clean lines, pressed seams, and dignity in every step. Her white, wide-brimmed hat, with a ribbon matching her shoes, was exactly the kind of church hat her late husband used to admire. The Greenwich Country Club was quiet that day, the sky crystal clear like the calm before a storm. Marcus had told her this lunch would be low-key, just calma. No speeches. Just a quiet toast after the signing. He was proud of what he'd built, a logistics empire that had grown from a single warehouse in Trenton to a nationwide supply chain powerhouse. Today, it was about to merge with the Hathaway Group, old money, deep roots, legacy stuff. But Gloria didn't care about all that. She came to support her son, plain and simple. She barely got past the marble steps when a woman in a navy blue uniform stepped right in front of her, blocking her path. "Excuse me," the woman said flatly, no smile. Deliveries and staff used the back in trance. Gloria tilted her head, confused. "I'm here for lunch with my son, Marcus Maxwell." No reaction. If you're with staff or catering, it's policy. The rear access is on the left. Gloria blinked slowly. This wasn't the first time someone had assumed something about her, but it never got easier. "I'm not staff. I'm a guest from across the patio." Inside, Marcus had just raised his glass for the toast. His eyes scanned the lawn and locked onto his mother. He noticed the woman's rigid posture, something clenched tight inside his chest. Gloria took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "You can check the list. My name's Gloria Maxwell. My son is one of the owners meeting here today." Before the woman could respond, a sharp voice cut through the moment like glass scraping tile. "Well, I suppose they let anyone in these days," said Victoria Hathaway, her pearls resting heavy on her blouse. "Are we letting the cleaning staff dine with us now?" Heads turned. A man chuckled quietly. Marcus's smile disappeared as he set down his champagne flute. The youngest Hathaway son gave a nervous laugh, trying to play it off as a joke. But Marcus didn't hear him. He was already moving. Gloria's face stayed calm, but her hands gripped her purse tighter. Victoria just turned and walked away, no second thought. Just another day for her. Marcus approached his mother, placed a gentle hand on her shoulder, looking her straight in the eyes. "You okay?" She nodded, though inside she wasn't. "I don't want to make a fuss." "I know you don't, but I will." He turned sharply to the staffer. "This is my mother. You just disrespected the most important person in this building." The woman opened her mouth but had no words. She looked embarrassed, flushed. Marcus didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He walked Gloria back to the SUV, opened the door himself, helped her in. She reached for his arm before he closed the door. "Don't ruin your moment over me." He gave her a look. "You are the moment." Then he shut the door and walked back up those marble steps with a calmness that masked a fire burning deep inside. What happened next, just hours later, would shake boardrooms, headlines, and families coast to coast. Inside the dining hall, Marcus's seat sat empty, the pen for signing the merger deal resting beside a thick packet of papers. Over a year of negotiations, revisions, and strategies had led to this day. A champagne tower gleamed near the windows. Everything was set, except Marcus. The mood shifted the moment he returned. No yelling, no dramatic scene, just a heavy, tense silence that hangs after a storm no one dares name. "All right," said Preston Ward, Hathaway's general counsel, voice force calm, like a man sensing $1 million problem, but clueless where it's coming from. Marcus didn't answer. He looked around the room, board members, family, lawyers, then locked eyes with Victoria Hathaway. She sipped her wine, legs crossed, radiating certainty. Like this deal was already done. He walked to his chair, placed both hands on the back, but didn't sit. "I want to say something." The room froze. "You all know how much this deal meant for our companies, the markets, the next generation of tech infrastructure in this country. This merger would have changed everything. He paused, scanning every face. But I'm not signing it. 2 seconds of silence. Then murmurs started. Someone said, "Wait, what?" Victoria's head snapped around sharply, the sting clear. "Excuse me," she said, almost laughing. Marcus nodded. "Excuse you indeed. Is this a negotiation tactic?" Preston jumped in. "If there's a concern, we can go back to the table." Marcus sat down not in the signing chair, but the one farthest from the paperwork. "No, there's no more table." Victoria scoffed, leaning forward with a cold smile. "Let's not overreact to a misunderstanding." I didn't recognize the woman. He blinked slowly. "That woman is my mother." "I'm aware of that now," she said, voice cool but strained. "No." Marcus cut her off, voice low but firm. "You knew what you were doing. You said what you meant." Preston cleared his throat. "We've invested millions. There are legal implications." Marcus leaned back, unfazed. "Then I'll see you in court. You can explain to a judge why disrespecting my family was part of your strategy." Victoria muttered, "Don't be emotional." That was it. Marcus leaned forward again, folding his hands. "You think I built this company from a corner office? I loaded trucks. I drove routes at 3 a.m. I ran payroll from a folding table when we couldn't afford an accountant. I watched my mother take the bus to clean houses just so we could keep the lights on. So when she shows up here, proud as hell in her finest, and you humiliate her, you humiliate me." The room went silent. Marcus stood up one last time. "There are deals you lose sleep over. This one? Not worth it." He walked out. No folder, no handshake, just silence. By morning, silence wasn't an option. The media had the story not because the deal fell through, but because of why. A small Philly podcast broke the headline. Black CEO walks out of $900 million deal after mother insulted by white billionaire family. By noon, TechPulse, Forbes, Business Today had picked it up. By evening, cable anchors debated it. The story was everywhere raw, real, messy. Next morning, Marcus walked into his New York office, no sunglasses, no entourage, just him, coffee in hand, nodding to the receptionist. A reporter shouted, "Was the Hathaway comment why you canceled? Do you regret walking away from $900 million? He didn't answer. Inside, his team was fielding calls. Some investors confused, some furious, but many proud. Messages poured in from warehouse workers, teachers, veterans, all saying, "Thank you for not letting that slide." That afternoon, Marcus held a press conference, no stage backdrop, just a folding table squeezed into a cramped room. "I didn't cancel because of money," he said, tired but steady. "I canceled because once you allow disrespect into the room, it spreads. I wasn't raised that way, and I won't build a future on silence." When asked about Victoria Hathaway's comment, Marcus didn't flinch. "Yes, loud enough for my mother to feel it." Some said, "That's not a reason to walk away from a company-defining deal." He nodded slowly. "Depends on what kind of company you want to build." The room fell silent again. He didn't say much more. Respect isn't negotiable. If we start trading that for contracts, we've already lost. He stepped down, walked out just like the day before. But outside, everything had changed. People who usually whispered were suddenly speaking loud. That night, clips of his speech went viral: TikTok, YouTube, X. Stories flooded, and a former employee told of being told to use the service elevator at a gala. A caterer recalled being asked to remove her apron before entering the lobby. The threat exploded. Marcus hadn't planned any of it. He wasn't trying to start a movement, but sometimes all it takes is one person standing still for others to find their footing. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, the Hathaways scrambled. Victoria's oldest son asked, "Do we have to apologize?" Victoria snapped, "I don't apologize to people who overreact. You insulted the man's mother. What did you expect?" Contracts evaporated. Event invites disappeared. The family empire wobbled under a new lens: entitlement with a smile. Back in Marcus's headquarters, the pressure came from a different front inside his own circle. His CFO and COO worried about long-term fallout, legal backlash, nervous investors. Marcus looked out the window, the city moving like always. He thought of his mother, small on those marble steps, but standing tall anyway. "I'm not teaching people power means swallowing everything," he said. "Not here, not in my company, not for a check." The team grudgingly rallied. Outside, though, some investors backed away, betting on a payout that might never come. Days later, a message from Marcus's cousin hit his phone. "We need to talk face to face." At a diner, news came that the bank paused their credit line, the one meant for expansion. "This wasn't some random buyout," his cousin said. "It was our leap, our future." Marcus replied, "I wasn't going to build that future on my mother's humiliation." The cousin shook his head. "Maybe that was her fight to pick, not yours." Marcus knew the storm wasn't over. The Hathaways were gearing up for war, and they didn't plan to lose quietly. But Marcus wasn't just fighting for a deal or a company. He was fighting for respect, legacy, and something bigger than money. Weeks later, Marcus received a handwritten letter from Camille Pierce, daughter of the Hathaway estate's longtime groundskeeper. She wrote about pride, invisibility, and how Marcus's stand reminded her of her father's quiet strength. It wasn't in headlines or hashtags, but in small connections like that, Marcus found real meaning. And then, just when he thought he'd found peace, an unexpected voicemail from a voice from his past he thought was gone forever. "Derek, it's Dwayne," the message said, his estranged uncle, the brother who vanished after their father died. The man who never said goodbye. They talked, not about business, not about betrayal, but about family, forgiveness, and the weight of silence. Marcus understood then that legacy isn't what you leave behind, it's what you live through, what you refuse to let die in silence. So what do you think? Was Marcus right to walk away from $900 million over a moment of disrespect? Or was pride a luxury his company couldn't afford? Share your thoughts, because this story isn't just about money or power. It's about respect, family, and the lines we choose to stand on.